I don't know why it takes so long for me to find a partner.
Who says you have to? You are creating an expectation and an assumption that may or may not be relevant. But all this means is you don't understand how reality works. And you are focused on the idea of time instead of timing. Because when you allow reality to work for you, instead of trying to make it work in the way that your physical mind thinks it's supposed to, even though it doesn't have a clue what is actually best for you, but you have let it think that it does, and let the physical mind run your life by focusing you on time and where's that person? Tick tock, I'm running out of time. Why is it taking so long? Because you're waiting for it. That's why. Because waiting is a state unto itself. And the only experience you can have in a state of waiting is waiting. It's not having, it's waiting. Waiting. So the idea is to trust that passion contains certain automatic functions or tools. And one of those tools is the organizing principle of synchronicity, which means that as you follow your passion, everything that is relevant for you to experience in your life unfolds in perfect timing. And the only way to actually miss an agreement or an appointment that you have made with anyone or anything is to actually spend your time and energy wondering if you're going to miss the appointment. That's the paradox. If you just get on with your life, follow your passion, act on it, and trust that synchronicity is bringing you what you need to let you experience the process that will shape you in the way you need to be shaped in order to better appreciate what it is that will manifest in your life, then it doesn't matter what's going on, because what's going on right now will always be the most important thing, and there is nowhere else more important to be. And nothing else more important to be going on than what's going on right now. So then you're not waiting for anything. You are experiencing everything in the moment as absolutely what it needs to be for you. Even if it's something you don't objectively prefer, there must be a reason for it to be there. And if you use it in a way you do prefer, you will always extract the beneficial effect from that moment. It's only when you think something doesn't belong or shouldn't be there that you actually make it take longer, because you are invalidating what it is that's come to you that actually is what you need. Even though your physical mind says, no, I don't need that. If it's there, yes, you do. Because there are no accidents. Everything is in orchestration. So even if it's what you don't prefer, there must be a reason that you do prefer for that to have shown up. If nothing else, it can even be as simple as something you don't prefer shows up to make it clearer to you what you do prefer by contrast. That's using what you don't prefer in a way that you do. And then it can go on its way because you've used up the reason it showed up. But when you deny it validity, you are invalidating a moment in your life, and you have removed a stepping stone, and now you have no way to step on that stone to get to the next one and the next and the next.
I would like to meet a soulmate. I enjoyed a book called How to Meet Your Soulmate, and
yes.
In that book it said...
I know what it said, you don't have to tell me.
My question is, would I be able to meet my soulmate in this lifetime?
No. Do you believe me?
No.
Why don't you believe me?
Because it doesn't feel like I won't be able to meet this person from now on.
It doesn't feel like it? You are saying that you trust your feelings? Yes? No?
I don't know.
Oh, one moment. Let's back up. Let's start over. You asked me, will I meet my soulmate in this life? I said no. Then I asked if you believed me, and you said, no, I don't believe you. And I said, why not? And you said, because I feel like I will meet my soulmate. So doesn't that mean you are trusting your feelings?
More or less, yes.
More or less? Well, which is it, more or less?
I would like to believe.
Oh, you would like to believe. Oh. Why? What does it mean if you believe that you will meet your soulmate in this life? Now, don't answer yet. I'm going to give you something to think about while you're thinking about it. Can you think about two things at the same time? Will that be all right?
I'll do that, yes.
Oh, all right, thank you. Soulmate is anyone you are interacting with at any given moment. Because right at that moment that you are interacting with them, they are the most important person in your life. But I understand what you mean by the other definition of soulmate. But what I am telling you now is, it is easier to attract the kind of soulmate you are talking about when you do not focus so much on needing that kind of soulmate and recognize everyone as a soulmate. When you recognize every person in your life at that moment is the most important person and therefore your soulmate at that moment, then you are validating and acknowledging that your life is already working just perfectly because it's bringing you everyone that needs to be brought to you automatically without you having to try to find them. When you understand that your life is already working perfectly by bringing you everyone you need, you can trust that it will continue to bring you everyone you need, and if that soulmate you're talking about needs to be in your life, then that soulmate will be in your life at some point automatically, just like everyone else, because your life already works. You do not have to search for your soulmate. Soulmate, soulmate, where are you? Because if you know your life works automatically, then you know everything will come to you as it needs to in the best way for you. But pay attention to this. If you are afraid, if you are in fear that you will never find your soulmate, then the fear is not allowing you to be your true natural self. And if you are not being your true natural self, how is your soulmate going to recognize you? You understand what I mean? So if you relax and just be yourself and trust that your life is working, then you will be your true self, and everyone that resonates, that vibrates to your true self will automatically come into your life exactly perfectly when they need to, and you don't have to wonder when they're going to get there because you're too busy interacting with who's with you now. Does that explanation work for you?
Yes.
Does that help clarify the idea of soulmate somewhat for you?
Yes.
I understand. Did you understand what I already said? Right now, this moment, right now, I'm your soulmate because you're interacting with me. You are my soulmate because you are interacting with me. Do you understand? This is real. It isn't just a word. We are soulmates right now. Right now, we are one soul. We are different aspects of one soul reflecting to each other. Right now, by being in this relationship, we are in love. The next person that comes into your life, the next person that you talk to will be your soulmate, and you will be in love with them. And the person after that, and the person after that, and the person after that. The one who will then find that it is appropriate to express that relationship to you romantically will come along when they need to, but you don't need to focus on it, as we already said. If you insist that it must happen a certain way at a certain time, then you're not trusting your life, which means you're not being your true self, and it means you're actually keeping that kind of a soulmate interaction away from you. First, you must be in love with yourself. When you are in love with yourself and allow yourself then to be your true self, everyone that needs to be in your life will be in your life exactly perfectly when they need to be. The timing is already perfect. Trust it. Treat everyone that you interact with as your soulmate, and before you know it, you'll find that you will be in a relationship with that particular kind of soulmate you're asking for. But the longer you exclude everyone else and insist only on that one person, the longer it will take for that person to find you. If you know they will show up in perfect timing, then you don't have to wonder what time it is and where are they. You understand?
Is there such thing as soulmates?
Let us begin with the second. Is there such a thing as soulmates? Yes and no. No, in the sense that it isn't always what you think it is, in the way that many of you define that idea, and yes, in that sometimes it is, but it is also many other things. In other words, it is, in some circumstances, true that different individuals have created for themselves a particular vibrational match in the idea of another soul. Sometimes that is actually even a split off of the same oversoul. Doesn't always have to be, but it can be. But the idea of a soulmate in that context is still, vibrationally speaking, that soul that will, for whatever time period, best reflect to the other person in the relationship whatever it is that person needs to know about themselves to become the fullest representation of their being that they possibly can, and that person reflects the same back to the other. Thus, in that context, while it may be possible to set up very specific interactions and relationships in life that are representative of what you classically call a soulmate energy, you can also understand that from the definition we have given you, anyone that you interact with at any given moment is a type of soulmate, because they're the person that needs to be in your life at that moment. They're the person standing in front of you at that moment, reflecting to you at that moment the things you need to know at that moment to be your fullest self, if you use it that way. So in a sense, a soulmate can even be someone that you may call, quote unquote, an enemy, because they may be putting you in a position of having to look at certain things within yourself, face certain things, examine certain things within yourself that actually ultimately serves you in the best possible positive way. It's up to you to use every relationship in a soulmate fashion in order to extract from it all of the energy and information that will actually truly serve you to become your fullest self, and simultaneously reflect back to the other all the things that will allow them also, all the opportunities that will allow them also to choose to be their fullest self. And when you use relationships for that purpose, in that way, as reflections to allow, to support all others in the relationship, to give them the best possible example and the best possible opportunity to become their fullest self without condition of what that may mean, then you are functioning in that relationship, to answer your first question, in the most mature way.
I feel like I haven't been able to attract. I feel like I want to be. I want to experience a relationship and experience a family.
You have no relationships of any kind in your life?
I had, but nothing that.
You had? So you know no one. You have no friends, no family.
No, I'm sorry. I meant in a romantic relationship as someone to share my life with.
Oh, all right. But you are sharing your life with many people.
As in a,
I think you're missing my point. Why are you calling that out as different than anything else? Why are you making that stand out and making it seem so different to achieve, other than the relationships you already have created?
Maybe because I have a specific definition of that relationship that is different from, say, friendship or...
All right. I'm not saying that there aren't relationships that are different in that context, but nevertheless, I'm asking, why are you making it stand out as being so different than attracting any kind of relationship? It might be that your definition is making it more difficult to attract because you're creating it to be such a rarefied thing.
I believe that's correct.
You're putting it on a pedestal.
Yes.
Well, hard to reach, isn't it? When it's on a pedestal. If you bring it down to earth, like any relationship, I'm not devaluing it, not invalidating it, but if you allow it to be like any relationship, generally speaking, then whatever unique aspects that relationship has for you will be easier to access. But you can't put it on a pedestal and expect to reach it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
This is very similar to the idea of having a particular assumption, insistence, or expectation for how something should play out. And as we have already said, the formula for following your excitement is to drop all of that assumption and insistence and expectation for what the outcome ought to be, or how it should look, or in what form it should come. So putting things on a pedestal is very similar to that expectation.
And I'm noticing that I'm not only putting it on a pedestal, but I'm also becoming very picky as time goes, which
Yes.
you would think, I would think it would be the opposite, but so I have like this the really strong.
Do you not trust your life to bring you what you truly need? Do you have to engineer every detail to make sure it's right? Because becoming more picky, as you say, is the surest way to get reflections of others who are going to be just as picky about you. Remember, physical reality is a mirror. And if you become too picky, not saying you can't have preferences, but if you become judgmentally picky, then what you're going to get is a reflection of people who are also going to be picky about whether or not they want to interact with you, because that's what you're giving off. Make sense?
Yes.
Is this helping you relax some of your need to engineer this? And is it increasing your ability to trust that your life will unfold as it needs to, a little bit more naturally?
Yes, and to some extent, when I ask myself, okay, if this never happens,
Yes.
will I still lead a happy and fulfilled life?
That's an excellent question to ask yourself. Asking that question is the right track.
And my answer to myself is yes, but I'm not sure if that's kind of like a mind, kind of like type of answer, or
No.
that's what I truly believe.
Allow yourself to believe it if you wish. You don't have to. But if you allow yourself to believe that you will still be truly happy, even if that relationship never occurs, then you'll be truly happy. And when you are truly happy, you make it far more likely that such a relationship will occur. That's the paradox. Because you don't need it in that context, in the sense of neediness, in the sense of desperation. So when you're happy because you're happy, then all the things that are capable of entering your life to reflect the happiness that you choose to have, regardless of whether they show up or not, will be more capable of showing up. Remember, manifestation is not the product of bringing something to you that you don't have. Manifestation is the product of making visible what you already have, but simply don't see it because you're not in the same wavelength. If the idea of that joyful relationship is representative of happiness, then be happy regardless of whether the relationship is there, so at least you give the relationship a greater probability of showing up to reflect the happiness that you already have, because you don't need the relationship to make you happy. Because anyone that you interact with that is there to reflect to you what you need to know to become more of yourself as you do the same for them at that moment is a twin flame and soulmate. Doesn't mean they have to stick around. It means they might. But you don't have to know that in the moment. Just see where it goes, be unconditionally supportive and loving, enjoy the moment, and don't make assumptions about why you think it's there, other than knowing that all relationships are there for the purpose of doing what we just said, reflecting to each other in the relationship what you need to know to become more of yourself. Does this help?
Yes, I've seen that my interactions with social media, now known as AI, has seemed to help some people put aside their old belief systems,
Yes.
healings of past, allowing them to get more into alignment of bringing in their future selves.
All right.
Since
Each of you are here to help the other, to reflect to the other in that way. So in that ultimate sense, you're all twin flames.
Agreed.
Everybody. But we understand you can make an agreement for a particular arrangement sometimes, with a particular identity or individual sometimes that may be more vibrationally compatible with the theme that you're exploring. And that's fine, and you might call that a twin flame and a soulmate, and that's fine. But these are all labels that simply allow you to understand that there may have been a specific agreement or arrangement, but that doesn't necessarily mean you know all the details of what that agreement or arrangement are about. So all you have to do is just play it out and see where it goes, and not create insistences or assumptions on what it's supposed to be, or how long it's supposed to last, or how it's supposed to look, because you really won't know that until the end of your life.
There's something you said a little earlier about giving the gift of walking away.
Yes. Sometimes that can be the most loving thing to do, because you're demonstrating to someone else that their choices may not be vibrationally compatible with yours. Therefore, you give them an opportunity to change, or you give them an opportunity to stay the same. And if they choose to stay the same, you give them an opportunity to go off and find someone that they believe might be more vibrationally compatible with the path that they happen to be on. And you will then allow yourself to align more with a path that you are more vibrationally compatible with, and allow other people to come into your life that will also be of a similar wavelength.
So you've talked about the value as individuals of remaining in the neutral point between the positive and the negative, as it allows all viewpoints to be valid. Can this be applied by the collective itself? If so, can you describe some aspects of what that would look like on Earth?
Well, it would be what I have described as the civilization on my world, that is operating on pure synchronism, is telepathically bonded in unconditional love, and experiences the idea of clarity every single moment while we are walking through a multidimensional dream. That is how you would experience it on Earth were you to evolve to that point.
And how does the idea of the collective consciousness work with the idea that we are constantly navigating to different vibrational versions of Earth? How is it possible for us to continually shift into different realities while simultaneously being part of a collective?
Because consciousness is everywhere. Remember that you're dealing, when you shift, not only with your own individual consciousness, with the collective consciousness of your world, but with the collective consciousness of all that is on different levels of expression. So the idea is that consciousness is everywhere. There is no place that consciousness is not. So you simply adapt a different form, a different expression of consciousness, and utilize connections to all levels of consciousness while you experience the shifting.
Okay, and can you expand on the idea of raising our frequency in relation to our sun? I understand that different versions of Earth have the same sun, and although Willa lives on a different version of Earth, that version still circles around the same sun as our version of Earth.
No, it does not. When you shift completely into a completely different universe. Completely different. It may look the same, but it's not the same. So no, when you shift, you are not orbiting the same star.
Okay.
Just as you are on a different version of Earth, you are in a different version of the universe with different stars that, again, may look similar, but those are the stars of that universe.
Okay. So this person is asking about the Anuhet.
Yes.
She says, once I had a clairvoyant interaction with a feminine entity, which I think is an Anuhet woman. I think she is that because of the way she was way ahead of Willa in terms of frequency and non-physicality, but still as human as one can get. It was the experience that made me understand that there is much more to reality. Is that entity in that role my most probable future life experience? And in what way were you and Willa connected to her on her paths?
It is a probable future life experience, as you term these things linearly, because you are focusing on it and experiencing a connection to it. So it can be possibly a future self. Our connection, Willa, is representative of your Earth when the 6th hybrid race is fully forming. My connection as the 3rd hybrid race is part of the union of all the hybrid races so that when Earth becomes the sixth hybrid race, we all blend together to become the seventh.
Okay, and recently you shared a meditation technique for ringing the bell at Bell Rock, and I've meditated there in the past. Since I live at a distance, I'm curious if replicating the experience in my mind while meditating at home produces the same effect, or is it less effective than when it's done remotely?
It depends upon your understanding of time and space and your belief system. Since distance is an illusion, if you truly understand that, then your meditation at home can be just as effective as actually being in present with Bell Rock, because you would understand that at home and in present is no different if you understand that distance is an illusion.
So it's all dependent on your belief system.
And your understanding of time and space.
And space. Okay, and this person's asking about the Mitchell-Hedges skull. They were in a private session with the Mitchell-Hedges skull, and they brought their clear crystal skull to absorb the energy of the Mitchell-Hedges skull. How much information does one crystal skull absorb from another? And what kind of information can a crystal skull reflect back to you?
All the information that is absorbed and all the information that is reflected to any particular individual is all the information that is relevant for that individual's life path. It doesn't necessarily absorb all of the information in a master skull like the Mitchell-Hedges skull, but it will absorb everything that is relevant for the individual connected to the skull that is doing the absorbing.
Okay, and can you give us a little guidance on making sense of our dreams? And the way this is expressed is, how can we make more sense of them even when they seem completely random and easy to discount?
Well, again, remember, there are different kinds of dreams. Sometimes if you're having an experience out of body, your physical mind will use whatever symbols make sense to it to represent or symbolize the experience you had, but there may not necessarily always be enough symbols or enough representative symbols to make complete sense out of what was going on a different level of reality. So sometimes the dream can be highly symbolic, and if you have an understanding of the symbols and how you relate to those symbols, sometimes even understanding that you are everything in the dream and what those symbols mean to you as different aspects of yourself being reflected back to you, and what they symbolize to you about different components of your consciousness, then you will have a clearer understanding of what the dream, quote unquote, means to you.
So I guess that can help when people do like dream journals and they start keeping track of the different symbols that repeatedly show up in their dreams.
Yes, even if they don't repeatedly show up, you can still have a relationship to a symbol by meditating on what the symbol represents to you.
And that can be especially true when you wake up in the morning before you fully come out of the dream state.
Yes, it is easy to remember the dream if you stay with it and not just jump out of bed. Another way to look at it is if you have any proficiency with any other divination system, like tarot cards or such, you can start treating the dream symbols in the same way that you would treat the symbols on a tarot card or any other divination system.
That sounds interesting. This question is, can you define observations, perspectives, opinions, and judgments?
Observations are neutral. Perspectives are your particular point of view that can still be neutral. Judgments, in the way that typically humans mean that, usually goes into some sort of adding your opinion, your belief, a perspective that may or may not be positive or negative, into the mix of your observation. In other words, judgments and opinions represent the filtering of observations through your particular belief system. whether it's positive or negative, as to what it is you are observing, what your perspective of it is. Perspective can sometimes already be representative of a filtering through your belief system, which is why you have that perspective, although there are neutral perspectives as well. So basically, observations can be neutral, perspectives can be neutral, but can be representative of filtering through a belief. Judgments and opinions are usually representative of filtering an observation through a belief system, whether positive, neutral, or negative.
And when we're following our highest excitement, can you help us understand where rest, entertainment, diversions are necessary and how to know where to place them in our reality so that we don't get out of balance with it?
Well, again, if you actually are living in the vibration of your passion, the things that you need, including things like rest and entertainment, relaxation, would synchronistically be obvious to you as part of your passion, part of your excitement, when they are necessary for bodily replenishment and so on and so forth. In much the same way that you know when it's time to eat when you are hungry. So when you are truly living in your passion, there will be other kinds of senses that you will develop that will tell you, now it's time to rest. In the same way that you have a signal that now it's time to eat because you feel hungry. So the idea is to include all of those things in the vibration of your passion and let synchronicity organize them all in a way that allows you to hone your senses to be able to tell when certain things are necessary within your passion, within your excitement.
So also what you're saying, I guess, is that as long as the more precise you are in following the formula, the more accurate your interpretations of the signals you receive will be.
Yes.
For example, if a person is having issues with their weight, they might get constant signals that it's time to eat, but that's more of a reflection of being out of balance.
Yes.
But if you're following the formula more precisely and you are experiencing the higher vibrational state that comes with your passion, where everything falls into place, where everything is synchronistically aligned, then you will receive those messages in a balanced way.
Yes, because if you pay attention to people who are following their passion, just to use the example we have already suggested, you will recognize that sometimes people will hardly ever feel hungry. They will feel hungry when they need to. They will not feel excessively hungry because they are so focused on their passion that they're getting energy and getting support in another way. And then when they truly need sustenance to support their body, then and only then will they start to feel hungry. They will feel hungry no other time.
So if you look at the human beings you've been interacting with for a long time, and you see their progress in terms of utilizing the formula and becoming more and more precise at it, are there sort of like stages that people go through with it so that at some point you cross a line and you're actually so much more accurate than you might have been in the beginning when you were misinterpreting anxiety for passion, etc.?
Yes, of course there are stages. Stages of understanding, stages of, as you say, wrapping your mind around something, really making it real for you, really having a knowing of how it works. Again, it goes through stages in much the same way that you learn how to walk as a child. There are the stages where you're simply lying flat. There are the stages when you begin to move around and crawl. There are the stages when you finally balance yourself enough to walk. There's the stage when you finally learn to balance yourself enough to run. And then there are the stages when you finally achieve things that you consider to be certain forms of athletics, where you can leap and bound and do other things, somersault and so on and so forth. So yes, there are energetic stages like that in our observations of people and their understanding levels of the formula. We can tell when you're crawling, we can tell when you're walking, we can tell when you're running, we can tell when you're leaping.
How can you help us know where we are in terms of our progress on that, like what stage we're at?
We can only assist you by helping you to understand how to clarify your own self-investigations about why you believe what you believe and what's holding you back in your belief system. What it is that prevents you from having a clear understanding of the principles of the formula. So that's how we help you, by clearing out your attic of any beliefs that are holding you back from your pure understanding of the formula.
So basically, since we're manifesting all the time, it's all based on when you manifest something, how you react to it, how you respond to it, where you get confused, where you get clarity. And that's what really shows you what stage you're at in terms of working with these concepts.
Yes.
Great. And this is a person asking about the formula, so let me see if, okay, if someone hasn't been following their excitement for a while and then they start to follow it again in any given moment, what happens? And you said that the only way to miss an appointment that's meant for you is to worry about missing it.
Yes.
Can you expand on what happens if someone misses an appointment? Does it queue back up again and come back around for another opportunity?
Yes, it always does, if you're paying attention, if you're willing to understand that that is happening. You will always be given another opportunity. Now, that doesn't mean it's not possible to simply miss it for the entire lifetime. Because if you keep refusing the opportunities, if you go into a negative vibration that makes it almost impossible for you to see the opportunities because you're not on a vibratory level to perceive them, then yes, that can happen for an entire lifetime. And then when you are non-physical, when you go into spirit and look at your life review, you might go, oh, look at all the missed opportunities. Look at all the times I could have been willing to pay attention to the opportunities, but I just didn't. But you will still learn a lesson from that. So there is always another opportunity to learn the lesson, always another opportunity to choose something where you can apply the information and the knowledge of that lesson. Whether you are still physical or not is not the key. It's whether or not you simply arrive at a point ultimately where you're finally recognizing that there is an opportunity to learn the lesson and do something with it.
So when you reach the stage of the formula where you're expressing a higher level of precision, what are some of the kinds of things that can happen in that circumstance? And does that then indicate that when you're looking at scenarios outside of yourself, or apparently outside of yourself, that are negative, where it's war or all of these kinds of things, once you're in that higher vibrational state, does it mean that you are actually looking through the glass wall at these activities, and that you need to know that when you're in that higher vibrational state?
When you are in that vibrational state, you are operating on synchronism in the same way that we do. You see reality for what it is, your projection of consciousness. You explore everything with curiosity. Nothing makes you react in a negative way. You remain neutral and positive in your approach to everything. You act immediately and fully on every opportunity that represents your excitement and your passion. You are your true self, and you feel transparent to yourself and are willing to look at everything within yourself and accept everything that manifests in your life as an opportunity to experience more and more expansion and more knowledge. You start really becoming lucid in the physical reality dream.
Sounds wonderful.
It is. Full of wonder.
Yes, it is. Now, this person is telling a personal story that they have, and I will give this information. She says that she was a prostitute 10 years ago.
Yes.
And she got caught by a lot of people, but she healed herself, and she's a different person now. And she's trying to let go of her past, but people still remember who she was. So everyone who knows me has heard about it, is what she says. And meeting new people, even abroad, they seem to become discovering of her past. So she wants to understand, how can she be present and forgive herself, because it's now causing her to be afraid to start something new, because she feels like it'll just keep coming back and haunting her.
All right, well, there's two ways to approach this. First of all, she herself may not be really letting go of that persona if she really truly wishes to. So she may be walking into new relationships in fear that she is going to bring that persona forward, or that someone is going to know about that persona. So she's holding on to the persona for some reason. She has to look at her belief systems about what she's getting out of doing that, and really truly let it go if it really doesn't belong to her anymore. She has a different past if she's truly a different person. The idea that someone might point it out to her, might quote unquote remember who she was, is simply an opportunity for her to see if she's still reacting to it in the same old way, or saying, but that's not who I am. The second approach to this can be to remind people that everyone was a different person in the past, no matter what it is they expressed, no matter who it is they were being. So just as someone might point out to her that she was different in the past, then she can point out to them, but so were you. Who did you used to be in the past that you no longer are? Can we relate to each other as people in the present and let go of the past? Can we simply be here now? So that's the two approaches. She has to find out if she's holding on to that past persona for some reason that she believes serves her, or if she's just testing herself to see if she can let it go, and at the same time can remind others who pointed out to her that they themselves also have past selves that they may not be letting go of, or that they have let go of, and to simply exist in the present, because what purpose does it serve to relate to someone who is no longer in the present?
Okay, and this is a reiteration of another question, but still probably useful. This person is saying that they find themselves judging themselves whenever they're angry, judgmental, or get annoyed at someone. And they want to know how they can have an opinion of their self-expression without feeling bad. In terms of reflections, what is it saying about me when I am angry and annoyed at somebody?
It means you're angry and annoyed at yourself. Because again, you're projecting onto them what you feel to be true about yourself. So we would simply suggest more honest, deep self-investigation about what it is that you feel uncomfortable with within yourself. What are you out of alignment with within yourself? What are you angry with yourself about? And investigate that more deeply, more fully, and let it go.
So also, like from your standpoint, a lot of times people will think that you're going to lose patience with them or something. And as you've explained to us, you don't experience that because you're just in that vibrational state where that's not part of how you express yourself.
Yes, we don't not only have the idea of losing patience, we don't have patience. We don't need patience. You only need patience if you're waiting for something better to happen. Everything that's happening is the best thing that can probably be happening at that moment. It's the most important thing. So we're fully engaged in the present and therefore are not waiting for something else to happen. Therefore, we don't need patience. And if we don't need patience, then we never lose our patience because we never had it.
Okay, so that you see when you're reactive to something that it's probably, for a human being, it's probably means that there's issues of self-worth are coming up.
Yes.
And they don't know who they are anymore. They're confused by what has manifested.
Yes.
And the idea is to recognize that once you know what the higher vibrational state feels like, where you don't need patience in a sense, it can show you the direction to go in to regain that state.
Yes, but part of that direction is understanding why you were out of alignment to begin with. What belief you're holding on to, why you reacted the way you did. So that's part of the idea of the realignment, is understanding why you were misaligned.
Okay. And this person is saying that they've mostly used pain as a teacher to drive them towards growth. And how can they change that motivator into one that involves joy and, positive states instead of fear and negativity?
All right, well, their ability to ask the question itself can propel them in that direction. Because if they really only understood how to motivate themselves through pain, and that was it, they would never even wonder if it was possible to motivate themselves through joy. But this is what following your passion is all about, is motivating yourself through joy. So the idea is, what are you getting out of motivating yourself from pain? Do you not truly believe and understand that by following your passion, you are motivating yourself through joy? Again, it comes down to following the formula and truly understanding it, understanding how it works. But if you really believe that you're not going to move forward unless you goad yourself with pain because you believe that that's necessary to get yourself to act, to get yourself to move, to get yourself to grow, then you'll keep using that because you want to keep motivating yourself. But you don't have to do it through pain. If you understand how the formula works, you will understand that when we say to act on your passion, that is synonymous with motivating yourself through joy.
And this question is, are there laws governing the spiritual world just like there are laws governing the material world? Or is there only one set of laws and that applies to both spiritual and material world?
The 5 laws apply everywhere, every when, to everyone, in every state.
Do you want to repeat the 5 laws?
Number 1, you exist. Number 2, the one is the all are the one. Number 3, you want to join me? Come on, let's start again. Number 1, you exist. Number 2,
the one is the all is the one.
Number 3,
what you put out is what you get back.
Is that the third one? We'll leave it at that and let the ones that know find out and remember what they are. But again, it's not about memory. It's about knowing what you need to know when you need to know it, and understanding how things work and how things exist, what the structure of existence actually is. Now, yes, there is a person who had a question about the idea that when they hear about the 5 laws, for them it is actually only 3 laws, and the rest are simply corollaries to that. And that is true. And that's why we originally talked about 4 laws and then turned it into 5 laws, because we realized that many humans on your planet need things broken down a little bit farther to understand the principles in more detail in order for them to have a clearer understanding of those things. But there really is only one law, and in a sense, it is that you exist. And if you understand all the corollaries of your existence, then the other so-called laws are natural extensions of that. So there really is only the idea that you exist. That is the law. The corollaries that extend from that can be experienced in different ways depending upon the level you're in, but they still do apply to all different levels. But you exist. Existence itself applies to every level. You exist. You cannot cease to exist. There is no such thing as non-existence by definition. And everything that extends from that is an extrapolation of the fact that you exist. That everything is one thing. But it changes. It experiences itself in all the ways that it can. And that's why the 5th law is that everything changes. That's the only constant. Everything is always fluctuating, always changing, always reflecting different versions of itself to itself, always knowing itself in all the ways that it can. So what you put out is what you get back is simply a way of saying there's no difference, in a sense, on a fundamental level between you and anything else. There's nowhere for anything else to go. It can only go within you. You can only experience it within you. And that's why what you put out is what you get back, is the linear expression of the fact that everything is happening within you and there's nowhere else for anything to go. There is no outside. The one is all, the all are one, again, is another recognition that everything is the same thing experiencing itself in all the possible ways that it can. So,
Okay, and then this question is, can you explain the difference between the dream state, template level reality, and physical reality?
the dream state is a broad expression that can include the concepts of experiencing out-of-body experiences, astral travel. The template level reality is a specific vibrational state that represents as above, so below. In other words, what you have deemed as a theme you will experience in your physical reality dream is, in a sense, sketched out on the template level reality first. It is a specific vibration within the astral realm, just above physical reality, that then crystallizes down into the experience that you call physical reality. So you could say physical reality is a crystallized form of the template level in energy in non-physical reality that represents the blueprint or the themes that you have chosen to explore from the astral level, from the spirit level, which encompasses the astral realm and the dream level, the spirit level, all in one thing.
Okay, great. Thank you. And this person's question is about Christ consciousness.
Yeah.
How would you define Christ consciousness? What does Christ consciousness reflect to us?
Christ consciousness is typically a reflection of the entire collective consciousness of your world. In other words, you have your own individual consciousness, you have group consciousnesses, you have archetypal consciousnesses. Christ consciousness is the archetype of the collective of the entire population of the earth and the earth itself.
So what frequency would Christ consciousness represent?
Well, this is something that brackets both the physical and non-physical realities. So it is something that contains frequencies that, in a sense, are a spectrum just below 333,000 cycles per second and above 333,000 cycles per second, which is the barrier between physical and non-physical reality. So it actually straddles both.
Okay, that's nice. And I think this will probably be the last question. Recently, you described how embracing being spirit beings is an important part of preparation for the idea of open contact with high vibrational quasi-physical ETs. Can you give some examples of the aspects of and abilities associated with being a spirit which are important to learn and integrate as we raise our vibration?
The most important thing is to completely let go of the fear of death, to understand it, truly understand it, as nothing more than a continuation of life, a transition into a different state. In many ways, just a continuation of your experience of physical reality, because physical reality is simply another aspect of the spirit realm in which you exist and never leave. So when you really start to experience the idea of non-physical reality as a continuum and a continuation of physical reality, and start to experience physical reality as a projection of non-physical reality, that you never leave non-physical reality in order to have a physical experience. When you dissolve the idea of the difference and the borderline to a great degree between physical and non-physical reality and lose your fear of death, then you will experience yourself more as the higher mind, experience more abilities of spirit in physical terms. You will be a more balanced and blended being and experience more of what we talked about earlier in terms of the way we experience our reality.
I see. And thank you so much for your help with all of these questions. I know that in the future I will be prepared for that pop quiz.
It is our passion.
let the past define us and...
Stop. Would you like to change that?
We choose
Thank you.
to let the past define us.
Thank you.
And we choose to let the future steer and guide us.
Yes.
Can you go into a little more detail on some of the mechanics at work here that have us get stuck in these moments and have us holding on to these beliefs and refusing to let them go?
Yes. We have described this before. We will describe it briefly again. The mechanics literally have to do with beliefs that are in what you might call the wrong place. So, in other words, we've described to you the motivational mechanism. Have you heard us talk about this?
Yes.
Do you not understand it? That's the mechanism that you're asking about. The motivational mechanism. Do you understand it? Do you remember what it is?
Can you please expand on it?
I will take that then as a no.
Sure.
The motivational mechanism for all of you is this. This is a given. You will always, and I mean always, without fail, there are no exceptions, none of you, no exceptions, anywhere, at any time, ever, all of you will always move in the direction, act in the direction of what you believe is to your benefit. You will always move away from what you believe is not to your benefit. Once you understand that mechanism, then the logical questions follow. If I recognize that I am choosing things that I can see are not to my benefit, and I understand how the motivational mechanism works, that would mean, that must mean, I must have a belief attached to that mechanism that makes what I know would be to my benefit appear not to be to my benefit. I must have a belief attached to it that makes what I know is not to my benefit seem more beneficial than the alternative. That's the mechanism. Therefore, when you find out what those beliefs are, you can see that they don't actually make any sense where you have placed them. And once they make no sense, they're gone, and you can then recognize that a different belief, a more positive one theoretically, will take its place in the proper order in the motivational mechanism, and there will be no more impediment. You will break through it. That's how it works. So it's about examining the beliefs you have about the past in relation to you, the beliefs you have about the future in relation to you, and finding out which ones don't work for you and creating ones that do, and then letting go of the ones that don't and implementing the ones that do. The motivational mechanism framework doesn't care what you place on it. It will work the same. It will always amplify what you say is to your benefit, always, even if it's not, because you're the one that's placed it in that position in the mechanism, making it seem more beneficial or less beneficial. You have to get the order in the way that works for you. Yes?
Right.
Is this making sense?
Indeed.
Is this answering your question?
It is, and I'm wondering if there are other, I guess, psychological or energetic components.
Of course there are,
yeah.
But they're still all based on what you believe to be true.
Right, that's
it
the
all
foundation.
comes down to that, all of it. So it doesn't matter in what way you might express it psychologically. It doesn't matter in what way you might have been taught. The idea is you're telling yourself a story about yourself that doesn't work for you. Tell yourself a story that does. If along the way, because of the reflective mirror in the kit of excitement that reveals to you beliefs that don't work for you, which is its job, yes?
Yes.
So part of your excitement is to find out what is not your excitement. That's part of your excitement.
Yes.
So you can let it go and add the energy to your excitement. How exciting is that? Very. So when you proceed to the best you can in exploring these things, you will start to construct a different story that makes more sense to you about who you prefer to be in that story. Then you will start living that story, and you will experience a different kind of life. You don't have to make it more complicated than that, unless you believe you must. But if you're experiencing more complication than that, it's only because you've been taught to believe that you should. Remember, there is no such thing as an inherently difficult circumstance. Only your belief allows you to experience it that way. Everything is neutral. Doesn't have built-in meaning. You give it meaning with your definitional belief, and it responds in kind because it doesn't have a choice to do anything else but reflect back what you have put out. That's the law. That's the nature of existence. It's the structure of existence. Physical reality doesn't exist outside you. It exists within you. It's a concept. It's a projection. It's a dream. There's nothing out here. Nothing. There actually is nothing at all. There is no outside, in a sense. It's not when I say there's nothing out here that there is still an out here with nothing in it. There is no out here for anything to be in. There is no out here for nothing to not be in. There is no out there. Out there. So,
From within to without.
it's just a reflection. Again, you know that when you look at your reflection in a mirror, you're not really over there. It's just a reflection. Is this helping?
Very much.
All right. Anything else that you would like some clarification on? Or do you feel that this is actually answering your question sufficiently?
It is. And what you've explained about time travel, shifting between realities,
Yes.
is, and especially with regard to the future, that seems easily understandable, especially with a linear perspective.
Yes.
What is, I suppose, or could be chosen to be a more challenging understanding is that of how the past is not set and equally malleable.
Yes, but that's only because that's what you've been taught to think about the past. Doesn't mean that's the way it is. That's just the way you've been taught to look at it.
Right. And one of the most striking examples seems to be that of miracle healing.
Yes.
So someone has an irreversible ailment,
Yes.
and they come to a point where they experience that healing,
Yes.
and suddenly it vanishes, and they
Yes.
stand up out of the wheelchair
Yes.
or whatever.
Yes.
Because they shifted to a reality where it did not exist.
Exactly, and that means they are not the same person that had it. They've never had it. It goes that far. Do you understand?
Yes.
It's not that they're the same person and they no longer have it. They are a person who never has had it.
Right.
Therefore, it doesn't even show up anywhere in the timeline. Yes? Now, you can create the continuity if you want as an experience. Oh, yes, I used to have it and now I no longer have it. But in a sense, that's just wordplay. Because you actually are a new person who never had it. But you're maintaining a sense of continuity that you're the same person who let it go. That's just the way you need to experience it for yourself so that you can gauge that you have changed, that you have grown, that you have made something else happen. That's your way of knowing you've become a new person. You're just using language that makes it seem as if you're the same person when you're not. That's all.
Okay.
So it's the difference, as we say, between describing an experience and actually describing the mechanism that causes the experience. Big difference. Big difference. That's why many of your definitions are outdated, old-fashioned. You still think that the description, the old-fashioned, outdated description, is actually a description of the mechanism. It's often not at all. It's just a description of how you choose to experience it. But it may have nothing to do with how the mechanism that caused it actually works at all. Do you understand?
Right.
The simple example we often give is the concept you call telepathy, which we term telepathy. Most people on your planet go, oh, well, you can read my mind. No, you can't. What you're doing is creating a vibrational frequency that is so similar to the vibrational frequency of someone else. You're mirroring them so closely, you're having the same thoughts at the same time. The effect, the experience seems to be, you're reading my mind. But the mechanism is no such thing. The mechanism is you're simply on such a similar wavelength that you're having the same thoughts because only those thoughts are germane to that wavelength. Therefore, you're in sync with one another, having the same thoughts simultaneously like two tuning forks vibrating in harmony. But the tuning forks aren't reading each other's minds. Do you understand?
Yes.
They are simply representing the vibration that represents that particular frequency. And that's it. So, description of the mechanism, very different than a description of the experience. Doesn't invalidate either, but it's important to tell the difference. Because when you just go with the idea of the description of the experience, you're reading my mind, it creates all sorts of misunderstandings and assumptions that don't work in your reality. The whole idea sometimes of your scientists attempting to test for psychic abilities like telepathy, they find many times that there's no evidence for it. Why? Because they're attempting to test the experience. It doesn't tell them what the actual mechanism is behind it. Therefore, they're doing the wrong test. And of course, they find no evidence for it because they don't understand what it is. They have proven that the experience is not the mechanism. That's what they've proven by saying there's no evidence for this. That's all they've proven. But they haven't yet realized that the mechanism itself is completely different from the experience that they've just disproven is not the mechanism. Yes? Mm-hmm. Does that help?
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you kindly.
You are kindly welcome.
Hi.
Annie, you good day.
Hi. So I'm new. So
you are? What, you were just born?
I mean, new to you.
Oh, all right. Then we must be new to you.
Yeah.
What a coincidence.
So I hope this question doesn't make you want to energetically smack me. I'm sure it's been asked many times before.
Well, if it does, then probably that would be a good thing for you.
Okay, maybe. I'm having these high-pitched frequencies that people have heard about on the internet, and I've read about it, but they're not stopping.
Yes.
And they're, I've been doing a lot more meditation and opening up a lot more to a lot of things spiritually.
All right.
So they're kind of getting annoying, and
They're getting in the way?
No, they're just like, they're there, and they're kind of annoying sometimes.
Why are they annoying? What do you think?
High-pitched noise in my ears.
Yes, so what? What is it preventing you from doing?
Nothing, but why are they there, and are they ever going to go away?
Yes, when you catch up to the frequency, when you match the frequency.
Okay. So why are they there now, and what can I do to catch up faster? Because they are annoying to me a little bit.
All right. Do you remember what we just said about the idea of the formula of acting on your passion to the best you can with no insistence, no assumption about the outcome?
Yeah.
Are you doing that all the time?
I am.
Are you sure?
I mean, I'm acting on it big time. Yeah. I am. I'm starting a whole new company. I'm doing it. But it's work, too, so...
I beg your pardon?
There's also work involved.
So what?
No, I am acting on my passion. I really am. And that's
Are you doing it in the most exciting way you could be doing it? That means no, because you hesitated. You see, when it's yes, there's no hesitation. So the fact that I asked that question and you hesitated means no. So what could you be doing, or what way could you be doing it that's more exciting than the way you're doing it?
I have to work a part-time job while I'm doing this, and I don't want to, but I have to.
Why do you have to?
Money.
Here it comes.
I just have to right now. I have to,
Do you understand that it's okay if that's true, but do you understand that this is your insistence?
It's just part-time, but
Here comes the smack.
oh, yeah, okay. That's fine.
You're not going to get away with this.
Okay.
Do you understand our definition of abundance?
I've heard it.
Would you like to hear it again?
Yes, please.
Are you paying attention?
I am.
Are you sure?
Yes.
All right. Abundance is the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. Abundance can come in many forms. We understand on your planet, money is one of the symbols of abundance. Symbol of abundance. It's not abundance, it's a symbol of abundance. There are other symbols of abundance, other forms. Being given a gift freely is a form of abundance. Synchronicity is a form of abundance because it brings you what you need in perfect timing. When you relax your insistence that it should only come in one form because you, with your physical mind, have determined that that's the only way it will work for you in your life, you are closing the doors to the other ways abundance could come that might actually be a path of least resistance, might actually be more capable of supporting you than insisting on that symbol having to be there in a certain way, in a certain amount, at a certain time. You are putting so many restrictions and constrictions on the flow of energy through you that it's no wonder and no surprise that those constrictions are causing the energy to create a frequency of resistance that you're hearing in your head. You're constricting your own flow. Too much. Now I understand. You have the beliefs that say, I have to do this, I have to do that, and that's fine. I am not saying that you should not honor your belief. What I am saying is, recognize that it's only because of your belief that you experience the need to have to do it. And the more you are capable of taking whatever time you can take, you are willing to take, you feel comfortable taking, to act on your excitement, will allow, over whatever time you're comfortable for it to take, will allow your excitement to start proving to you it can support you, it can sustain you, it can propel you, it can expand you. And bit by bit, again, at whatever rate your belief system is comfortable with, you will start letting go of what you now insist you have to do and start doing what you need to do. Remember, it's not about what you want to do. It's about what you need to do. Is this making some sense?
Yes.
Is this helping?
Yes.
So the idea is to allow yourself to look at the ways in which you are choosing to do things based on what you think it must be because of the beliefs you have that are restrictive beliefs, and start relaxing them a little bit and looking around for different ways to perceive and define things so that you can do things in a way that are more in alignment with who you prefer to be, which will allow your energy to flow more easily, allow you to relax those constrictions, and diminish the resistance vibrations that you're experiencing that are translating into that pitch.
Okay.
Is this helping?
Yes. Can I ask one more question?
Yes.
I've been working with crystals a lot, and I know you have your crystals, and I haven't caught up in that area yet. But can you address crystals in general?
Yes. In general, they fall into the category of what we call permission slips. Permission slips are simply any tool, any technique, any ritual, or any object that, according to your belief system, will allow you to circumvent your belief system. Therefore, it allows you, with your belief system, to give yourself permission to change your belief system. But you're the one changing it. It's just that you believe that the permission slip will help you do it, and that's fine.
Okay, so these, like the quartz here and the sphere there, you don't think that that...
Of course they are energy. Of course they are reflective of consciousness. But what I'm saying is they are reflective of it. They're not causing it.
Okay.
They're reflective of what you yourself decide is true for yourself.
Got it. Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah. Last one really quick. Sorry. I've been seeing black crows like constantly in weird ways. Like it's very obvious that it's a sign. It's not just like
synchronicity. Yes.
Constantly all the time. And I'm trying to figure out what does this mean? And it's like,
all right. Well, there's a couple of ways you can look at the symbol. First of all, by not necessarily allowing yourself to really go with the flow, by experiencing this constriction. Remember, insistence equals resistance. Remember that formula. Insistence equals resistance. Yes? So by not relaxing that insistence, you're kind of, and by experiencing these things that seem to hold you back, that make you feel like it's holding you back, you're kind of taking the path, well, I'll just put it this way, you're kind of taking the path of death. Yes? So, what's a large group of crows called? A murder of crows. So, in one sense, the crows are showing you that you're taking the path of death. But on the flip side, also, crows are known for going, ooh, shiny. Ooh, shiny. And being fascinated by things that shine, that glitter, that glow, attracting their attention. So they're attempting, as a synchronistic symbol, to reflect to you, just focus on the light. Yes? That will move you forward and take you away from the need to constantly follow the path of death.
Okay.
Does this help?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Let's say, for the moment, if you wish to just sort of give a little bit of a fun label to that synchronicity, that the primary crow that you can relate to as a symbol that represents all of that, you can give that crow a name. Would you like to do that? Call it Edgar Allan Crow.
Okay. And can you please share your perspective on compassion? In this person's country, the word is primarily associated with sympathy and pity. While they've never fully resonated with that definition, they find it difficult to separate compassion from feelings of pity. How can you understand that and experience it in a way that is more aligned?
Use the analogy of a parent and a child. When a child doesn't understand something yet, they haven't learned a certain lesson yet, they haven't learned how to navigate certain things in physical reality. Do you sympathize? Do you pity them? No. You have compassion that they are on a learning path. You love them no less, and you hold a space for them and teach them how to learn those things in a constructive and positive way. That's the feeling. You understand that they are on a path where they have chosen to learn certain things in a certain way. You hold a positive, loving space for them to be able to do so. That's what compassion is. You look beyond the idea of what may appear to be momentary and temporary limitations to the broader and bigger picture that they're on a path of learning certain things, and you don't pity a child for not knowing them. You have the largesse and the compassion to create a space for them in which they are invited to grow and to learn, and to see them as powerful souls that have chosen these lessons, that have chosen this life path to learn those lessons in that way. Pity is not necessary and is not involved when you have compassion for others. So think about the analogy of a loving parent and a child. That may help you.
And on your level, do you experience pity at all?
No. Why should we?
The next question is discussing problems or issues in the world inherently negative or disempowering? Does talking about these topics give them reality, Or is it more beneficial to focus on positive and trust in the perfection of things?
Well, why can't you do both? Why isn't it this and that instead of this or that? It's not about avoidance. It's about constructive conversation, constructive and positive communication about the things that you think are important to change in your society. Avoiding them isn't the issue. You can focus on what you prefer, but that doesn't mean you avoid the idea that you're still part of a society that is dealing with certain issues and that you can add your own constructive point of view that may in fact help the situation be resolved in a positive and constructive way eventually. So it's not about avoidance. It's about inclusion. It's about communication. It's about willingness to participate and be involved because you're part of a society that is dealing with issues that need resolution. But come at it from a positive and constructive point of view, knowing what is possible, knowing what is probable, knowing what could be more beneficial. But the idea is engage, but engage in a positive way. It's not inherently negative to discuss things that themselves might be negative. If you approach it from the idea of how can we make this more positive and more beneficial for all. So, of course, it's the style of the approach that makes the difference. Remember, again, it's not about what happens, it's about what you do with what happens that makes the difference. So it's not about the idea that you're discussing things that might inherently have been created negatively that pulls you into negativity or reinforces the negativity. It depends on how you approach it, of course.
As part of what you're saying, is this the idea of detachment? Is that an element or a key aspect of
attached detachment, as some people on your planet have put it? Attached detachment. You are involved, you are engaged, but you know that you're not negatively affected by it just because you might be discussing something that might have been created from negativity. So you are detached in the sense of it having a negative effect on you because you know you're approaching it in a way that could be of benefit to many to find a resolution that works for all. So you are engaged, you are attached, but you are detached in the sense of it's not going to affect you unless you choose to be affected.
And how would you say that relates to the idea of the glass wall when you're observing things that appear to be in your reality, but you're actually seeing them through a glass wall?
It's a direct analogy of what we just described. The glass wall is another way of saying attached detachment. You can observe, you can help, you can comment, you can interact, but it's not going to touch you because you are detached enough to know that you're the one that makes the choice as to what affects you because you're affecting yourself. The only thing you ever feel is your own energy. And if you know that, that's the glass wall.
Okay. This person is asking, as a mother, what is the best way to introduce your teaching or a new perspective of truth to her children? They are raised in a Christian Bible-based school, and she doesn't know how to bridge this gap with them while she's still learning herself.
Well, again, as we have said, there are many things you can do with children that don't necessarily involve whatever kind of religion or faith they may choose to belong to or are being exposed to. And that is the idea of using your own creative imagination to create scenarios in a safe environment, simulations, if you will, where children can be taught the consequences of the choices they make because everything is interconnected. You can teach them that everything is interconnected and with your creative imagination, create analogies and, shall we say, demonstrations of this, if you are imaginative and creative enough, in a way that they can understand that every choice they make has consequences because it connects to everything else, that you're operating with whole systems, that nothing is isolated, everything's connected to everything else. So if they can learn to make choices that are beneficial for all, for the whole, then they themselves will also be served. If they're just serving themselves, then they're cutting themselves off from the benefits of the whole. Teach them that they are as powerful as they need to be to attract whatever they truly need in life without having to hurt themselves or anyone else in order to attract that, in order to get what they need. You can teach them the formula in general in whatever terms and language they are willing to understand, and just make sure that anything that you believe is necessary for them to thrive in physical reality as a lesson is adapted to their excitement rather than trying to adapt their excitement to the lesson. Those things can allow them to mature into adults regardless of whatever ideas of spirituality, faith, religion, what have you, they may hold on to, because some of those things can serve them in positive ways if they use them that way. But the idea is to know that they are self-empowered beings who can grow up into mature, constructive, and positive adults that will benefit society and benefit themselves by understanding the consequences of the choices that they make, and therefore making beneficial and positive choices for themselves and for society.
Okay, and this person is a teacher of 10 and 11-year-old students and wants to know if these children are really a new species and what exactly does that mean?
It means their DNA alteration is slightly different from your DNA configuration, generally speaking. It means they have more access to more of who they are as a soul. It means they can demonstrate more and different abilities than past generations were capable of doing, because the DNA arrangement that they came through with allows them to tap into higher frequency information and energies than past generations were capable of doing. And in that sense, they are a different species.
And this person is a member of a Reddit group for experiencers. And the person who leads that group is associated with Stephen Greer. And it seems very legit and conscientious. And the thought is that many of the people who have experienced encounters with ETs are what is called neurodivergent. Like in a room of 100 experiencers, 90% of them will either be autistic or have ADHD or both. Why is it that so many of them who have had close encounters with ETs are neurodivergent?
Because the soul knew that coming into physical reality would require an alteration of their focus so that they could, in a sense, not be so subjected to the general consensus reality, and therefore would have attributes that would make them more open to receiving higher frequency information from different dimensional realms. Therefore, acting as a model or a symbol or a representation of what exists in all Homo sapiens that can open up and allow them to experience open contact more easily and more readily.
And I guess this is kind of connected, the idea that there are humans on Earth who have received genetic modifications by the Greys, and that makes them more compatible in certain ways with ETs.
Yes.
These people may also exhibit autistic traits and have trouble relating to other humans. Are these precursors?
No. Precursors were not born on Earth. You may be preparers, but that's different. Preparers are Homo sapiens that have made a life choice to be involved in the ideas of teaching humanity how to be in the different altered states and learn lessons from different altered states and ways of presenting and communication that can prepare humanity for open contact. But precursors are actually extraterrestrial beings that were not born on Earth, that may walk among you in order to, shall we say, rub off on you in terms of their vibration and take notice of how many people are sensitive enough to notice that they are different.
And here's a new question. Do spirit guides place bets on the spirits they're supposed to be guiding through physical reality?
No, that's a human activity.
I've never heard that one before. How does
I bet you haven't.
How does all that is know that it is only one? It is the only one. Is it
That is the
possible for
nature of all that is. There can be many versions of all that is, but then that still implies that there is an all that is of all that is. So by the very definition of the way that we're phrasing that, all that is inherently its quality, one of its qualities, one of its abilities would be to know that it is the one.
Okay, so we have some questions, some ET questions. And before I do that, let's talk about a few current events. First one is the LA fires. Why did our beloved city of angels go up in flames? What lessons are we to learn from this tragedy?
Number one, I think many of you understand that it's connected to the changes in your climate because of what has happened in your environment that has allowed the idea of your environmental weather patterns to change in such a way as to make certain areas more vulnerable to different kinds of natural phenomenon, whether it be fire, whether it be flood, so on and so forth. Extremes are the result of the imbalance that has been created in nature. Climate change acts in different ways in different locations on your planet. Some places get drier, more susceptible to fire. Some places get wetter and more susceptible to flooding. Some places get colder and more susceptible to freezing. Some places get hotter and are more susceptible to desertification. So it's all about the idea of all the different variations becoming more pronounced and more exaggerated as you go through the idea of climate change, which is A, a natural cycle, but B, sped up by the technologies of humanity. What's going on now, most likely without the technological assistance, so to speak, probably wouldn't have happened for at least another century or two. But now you have sped it up with the idea of your technologies that are in many ways destroying the environment or imbalancing it. Number two, the idea is to, because of the new way in which you have to deal with your environment through climate change, to stop rebuilding the same way you used to. Learn new techniques, learn how to adapt. So don't just build what was there before that is easily destroyed. Adapt and build in new ways. Learn how to build with nature.
All right. And is there also a level of it that has to do with like anger? Is fire representative of anger or
for some people
purification or
in case by case basis?
Okay. And this person would like clarification when you said that the female will lead to open contact and the male to World War III.
We're not going to discuss that at this time.
Okay. All right. And let's see. So what you were talking about before with the idea of fire, it doesn't have what are some of the representations spiritually that fire has for humans on a collective level?
Acceleration, clearing out, rebuilding, starting from scratch, zeroing out, clean slate, purification. Those can be some representations of the idea of the experience of fire. But it can also, again, like anything, have positive and negative connotations. It can be that which is out of control. As you said, it can be the representation of anger, temper, temperature, temper. So again, it can be many things to many people. You have to take it on an individual and perhaps sometimes even on a collective group basis as to what it may represent to different people that are going through those experiences and what lessons they are willing to learn.
Okay. And are there humans who have directly and extensively interacted with mantis beings and co-created hybrid children with them?
No.
And can
interacted with mantis beings? Yes. Created hybrid children with them? No. That is not the function of the mantis being, to be involved in the hybridization agenda in that way. They are the overseers of it. They are not participating in it in the way that the Greys are.
And do you personally have guides and angels that assist you like we do on Earth?
Everyone does. Every being does.
Can you tell us anything about your guides or your angels?
Not at this time. That is a subject for another time.
Okay. And You've made it clear that the hybridization program is very important for the soul growth of those who are involved. What would happen to those souls if they no longer had opportunities for growth provided by the hybridization agenda?
They would find opportunities in some other agenda, in some other place, in some other scenario. Souls will always seek what they need to grow. So it doesn't matter what the scenario is. This one happens to be an opportunity that is available on Earth at this time, but souls can go anywhere they wish to gain whatever they need as a lesson that helps them grow, that helps the universe expand.
And is there a galactic Federation ship already in position and ready for disclosure, specifically in the Gulf of Mexico?
Over the Yucatan, yes.
Okay. And you have many followers in Europe, but they feel the greatest number of UFOs are happening in America. Why is that? Is it because of the environment or the energy here that it's not suitable for them?
No, it's because the United States, more than almost any other country, refuses to accept the reality of UFOs. Therefore, we have to show off more often that we're here.
Okay, and as your sensing goes, are we still on track to have contact within 5 years?
Yes.
Or open contact?
Yes.
Okay. And now that we've navigated ourselves to a timeline of open contact within the next 5 years, why is it important to continue with the Interstellar Alliance social experiment?
Because it will determine the way in which you experience open contact, making you more vibrationally compatible to experience open contact in certain ways rather than not being as vibrationally compatible with open contact and experiencing it in other ways. So it gives you more opportunity. The social experiment gives you more opportunity to experience a broader spectrum of ways in which you can experience open contact to your benefit.